welcome to hashtag Becoming Your Magic Power Hour, where we come together from Monday through Friday in order to what? Remember about the tools that we have in order to what? Become our abracadabra, right? To become that thing, that magic, right? The experience that we're looking for. And so every day from Monday through Friday from 7 to 8 p.m., you can reach me here either on Facebook in my I Choose Me Bling Boutique group page or on my profile page at Precious Paulin. And the third place that you can reach me at will be at my Facebook group page is I Choose Me hashtag No More Excuses. I mean, not my Facebook group page. I'm sorry. My YouTube channel is I Choose Me hashtag No More Excuses. And so, like I said, we have 4 segments when you come here every week. The first 15 minutes and just as welcome, the greet, the celebrating one another, to tell each other in the news feed how we have showed up in our abracadabra, right? To tell each other in the news feed what were the magic things that we had to do today? What are the things that got us to our places of currency in order for us to what? Celebrate enough to grow into our what? Our abracadabra, right? Because abracadabra just means the moment before the change. And so to know that you were built for magic, to know that you have everything you need already placed inside, is to know that it is that quickly you can transform into the dream that you want for yourself by simply changing your mind. And in the moment of an abracadabra, you can do something different the moment you think something different. And the first thought is how you feel about yourself. The first thought is how you see yourself. The first thought is what you want to be. Right? And so that's what it's all about. It's about celebrating ourselves. And so we are only 3 minutes in so far. And so at this time, I ask that you would like, but most importantly, share so that we can come together on this hour and get refill. Because often we refill our cars, right? How often do you have to refill your car? Let's think about that. In order to get from point A to point B, we take the time to refill our cars so that we can function and get to the different places in our life from daily, right? That's a refill we do. We plug in our phone. Why do we plug in our phone? So that we can charge up, right? So that we can charge up our source in order to what? Do the things that we need to do. So we plug in our phones, to be able to charge up our phone so that it can function on its highest level, right? Its highest capability by doing what it was created to do. That's another refill, right? We refill our cups. Why? Because they're empty. We refill our cups so that we can drink, so that we can get that power, so that we can get that I just say liquid in order to keep on moving. So this is a refill. Well, the power hour is a refill for you, for your mindset, to refill the way you see yourself, right? To refill the entity that is taking you into your destination. Because where we are going, we carry ourselves. So this is the vehicle. And so every week, from 7 to 8 p.m., it is about us plugging in to the source. I am connected to the source as each of us are. So every time we come in service, we are supplying a need, right? And so when I plug into God, he allows me to be used in whatever magnitude that's in my capacity, my gifting, which is making the message plain, right? And so I release it to you so that you can take it in, get whatever refill you need from day to day so that you can function at your highest level, knowing just how amazing you are, knowing just how assigned you are, knowing just how capable you are, knowing just how necessary you are. And so from day to day, it's about us coming and just getting that reminder. We get so many reminders of who we ain't. So becoming your magic power hour is the reminder of who you are, who you forgot about, who they don't want you to find out about, because then you will blow their mind, right? Because then you will become the thing that will be the evidence of all of the things you went through, right? And so abracadabra is about saying, of course you see a change. Why do you see a change? Because I was intentional with my mind. I was intentional with my environments. I was intentional about how I saw myself, how God saw me, how he loved me, how he wanted to lift me, right? I saw in me what God already saw in me. And so it's about us finding that extra power, that extra energy, that extra piece of love for ourselves, right? It's about us celebrating all of those valleys, because those valley moments are why you get to say abracadabra. Because if they didn't know who you was yesterday, how could you be the evidence of what God created today? How could you be the evidence of your thoughts? You are the evidence of your thoughts because of who you were created to be and how you recognize that in order to show up in the present, I have to be in the process, right? In order to be who I was called to be, I have to be intentional. I have to know what that looks like. I have to know what that feels like. I have to know what that represents. And so what is it that you represent? What is it, the impact you want to leave? What is it that you want to remind the people who are looking at you and you don't even know? Just how good God is, just how many times you are able to get up, just how you transform all of those emotional situations into triumph. Because you got to die to resurrect. And in the dying, it allows you to create a substance that makes you able to what? Use that wisdom, shine your light, encourage, empower, enlighten somebody else on your way to where you're going. And so every moment is intentional. This moment right here that I have you in my presence, right? This moment for wherever you was, God was intentional, right? Because he wanted you to know how special you were today. He wanted you to know that he couldn't have picked a better person for the job than you. He wanted you to know that there is something assigned to your pain, that there is a promise attached to that process. He wants you to know that you have and will always be your own abracadabra. That while you're waiting for God to show up, he wants you to know, well, I'm waiting for you to show up. Why? Because you have everything you need. You just have to know the power in which you hold. The biggest mistake we make is not knowing what we possess. The biggest mistake we make is not knowing how we have already become victorious over those situations. Why are we victorious over the situations? Because it's behind us. Because when I look in the mirror, everything that is not in front of me is behind me. And so all of those things that we've experienced, that we allowed to take our fight out of us, that we allowed to cripple us, right? That we allow us to not recognize that it was that walk of faith that got us to where we are today, because it all started with a thought. Everything you have started with a thought. That house that you may be living in, it started with the thought of saying, I want to rent, I want to buy, I want a home. And so you got an action from the thought that you placed in your mind. And then you put in steps those moments in those specific ways of becoming the magic in your own life. And so when you see people who say, well, how did you get there? And what did you do? What I did was I followed my thoughts. I believed in the seeds that God gave me. And so today I want us to understand that today's topic of becoming your magic power hour is believing in the seed of thought. Understanding the power and the magnificence behind the seed of thought. Everything we get the opportunity to enjoy, everything that we get the opportunity to celebrate, everything we get the opportunity to show up in is about how we see ourselves. Every opportunity was a moment to show up in your life, to show up in your power instead of your pain, to get people to know that they can go to God because what he did for you, he could do for them, right? And so when we think about every time we sit in those rooms, every time we live in this energy of loving ourselves to life, and we live in this energy of understanding just how powerful we are, we really ignite God's masterful masterpiece, right? We really ignite those experiences that was meant to set us into motion. Because currency is movement, right? And so how we currently move dictates what we evolve into. And so that thought, that seed of thought, the seeds that have been implanted in our head is a direct reflection of where we are today and how well we gardened. Come on now, how well we garden through our experiences. Because if the seed is thought, and thoughts are what make and break us, and you are in a position that you don't know why you're there or where you want to be, you're going to have to go back and ask yourself, what have I been thinking about myself? What have I been thinking about myself? Have I been thinking about all the amazing things that make me powerful? Have I been magnifying the seeds and multiplying the seeds of thought of who I see myself as? Or have I been magnifying the seeds of thought of those valley moments, of those pains, of those hurts? What is the part of my life have I been multiplying? The part of my life that I'm multiplying is the part that I think about the most. And the thing about your thoughts is that God knows the authenticity in your thoughts, because the more confident you are in your thoughts, the more you're willing to speak them out. People give the illusion, like, I don't want to tell, people what I'm doing or what I am, because I don't want to mess it up. Let me tell you something. Nobody has more power than the power of God. And nobody can multiply who you are and what you are like God, right? And so telling you what God told me about me is standing up in the secret that is true. And the secret is he has something special for me, just as he has something special for you. But the thing that we have to do is recognize the gift that is us. Recognize how we are to become our magic. Recognize how all those things that we've been through is only equipping us for who we were called to be, for what we were called to do. And so when I think about the seeds that are in my mind, I get to sit in the evidence of what I believed, right? So let's think about the seed of what you're sitting in. So we spoke about gardening, right? So when I'm saying the seed of thought, and that is our responsibility to garden, and this is the gardening time, right? Because just imagine if me and my neighbor who lived in the same exact place had a problem in our backyard, right? And that problem was I had a patch of grass missing and he had a patch of grass missing. The same sun is shining on both of our backyards at the same time, right? Because God is the sun. But let me tell you the difference in how you show up with the seeds that are in your head and what you think. If the seed in my head told me that in order for me to increase the speed of that patch of grass that's missing in my yard, that I needed to spend special designated time on certain things, right? So I know that I looked up, how do I get that patch back, right? That's information, right? How do I get that patch of grass back? My neighbor, he ain't thinking about nothing. He ain't looking up nothing. He just lets the patch sit there. So now I say, well, you know what? I'm going to look up some. I'm going to find some information, because God says seek, right? To go and find the answers, right? To seek his face, seek the answers, right? Being able to study to show thyself approved. So I study and figure out what I need to get my patch of grass back. So after I studied that and I figured out what I need, guess what I did next? I got in action. So if my neighbor's still sitting there not trying to discover what they can do to different and just going to sit in it, mind you, the sun is still going to shine on their spot the same way it's shining on mine. But the difference will be this. Now I'm out there and I find out that I need to till it. I need to go get the thing and till my grass. So I break up that dirt. I break up that patch that's messed up. My neighbor's still sitting there waiting on the sun and waiting on the rain. I put my seeds in the ground because I know that I want this thing to be complete. I care about my grass. It's something different about the way I feel when I sit in my backyard. And so it matters different to me. So I'm going to react to it different. And so I'm going to put in action steps because it matters like I say it matters. And so now I'm looking at that spot and I'm looking at my neighbor's spot and I'm going out there and I'm putting in the work for what I want. For my yes, right? I'm putting in the work. I'm walking by faith. I'm taking that thought that's in my head and I'm walking it out because my legs are connected to my brain, right? So when my brain says get up, God willing, I get up. So if my brain says go win, then guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go win. So I go outside and I go and I put that seed down and I break that thing. I get that seed down in there, and then guess what I do next? I say I'm not gonna wait for it to rain. I'm gonna invest, right? So that water that's on the side of my house that I gotta turn on, and every time I use it, I pay for it. That's an investment because time is money, right? And in order to get money, I gotta spend time. So everything you do is an investment. The question is, what are you investing in? Because everything you do costs you something. It costs you your time. It costs you your money. It costs you your sanity. It costs you something, right? And so now I'm investing my time by getting that water and watering that place, watering it. So now I wanted something. Me and my neighbor had the same problem, and we both served the same God because God has no respect of persons. He respects the person who respects the person he created. So let's go here. So now that God, who is shining on both of us because he loves us the same, and we realize that we both have the same problem. See, but God wants to know, what are you going to do about your problem? Are you going to sit and wait for it to rain? Are you going to sit and spend 6 months because the grass is going to come back up? Come on now. That's what I want you to know. The grass is going to come back up, right? And so since the grass is going to come back up, it's inevitable that who you are called to be is going to start to form itself. The question is, how soon will you get there? How soon will you believe in the seed of thought? How soon will you believe that your process is what guides you into your abracadabra moments? How soon will you recognize that it's as simple as taking the thought in your mind and applying some action behind it, right? Because they say knowledge and power, but guess what I say? I say knowledge is power, but applied knowledge is transformation. So because I applied the knowledge of getting my grass up by not waiting for it to happen, not waiting for it to do what it's going to do, but for me to get in action for my attraction. So because I decide to find out how to get my patch back, because I decided to actually go and till that backyard, because I decided to go buy some seeds and put it in, because I decided to water my lawn, because I decided to do it tomorrow and the day after and the day after. And my neighbor, guess what my neighbor decided? My neighbor decided they were going to wait on God. My neighbor decided to wait on God. But God was a little busy. Not too busy for you in the sense that your problems aren't important, but busy in the sense that there are levels of problems, stages of it. And if we got one daddy that we're all going to, then he wants you to start to learn how to fix the problems that you can fix. Create the solutions that you can create and stop wasting his time on the things that he already pre-qualified you for. He said, come to me when you need me to touch it. But I need you to touch it first. I need you to see me first. I need you to become your magic first. Because when you come to me, right, then I can change your life. When the woman with the issue of blood, the reason why she was healed was because she went to him and touched the hem of his garment. So the question is, are you going to God in action for your attraction, or are you sitting and waiting for your garden to just be created? Because I'm going to tell you, it's going to grow, but you may have some weeds. And it may take longer for your stuff to blossom. But the question is, if you're looking at your neighbor's grass and you're wondering why the grass, what they say, the grass looks greener on the other side, you got to find out what they did for the grass to get greener on the other side. You got to be willing to ask. The word says, ask and ye shall receive. Don't have shame on asking, because you took the time to ask, God will take the time to give you the answers to your question. You ever be sitting in a room or sitting in a situation and you go to God and you're like, God, oh my God, I need the answer. Please send me something. Send me a sign. And then somebody calls you or a check comes or something happens. It is because you went to God. And because you invested last week, he put you on somebody else's mind. Because I'm going to tell you, nobody can call you out of thin air. He had to put you on somebody else's lips. He had to put you in somebody else's conversation. He had to put you on somebody else's heart for him to what? Change your life. Let me tell you a little story that happened to me just last week. So I was sitting here and I'm like, okay, I got some stuff. We got bills. We're entrepreneurs. The only way we pay our bills is by, our products and how we do what we do. And so I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, I got to figure out what can I be doing? I'm supposed to be on tour. I'm supposed to be doing this. And so the money that I thought I would be getting, of course, is totally different because we're in a pandemic, right? We are not in the same world that we were aiming for, that we were planning for in 2019. 2020 is totally different, right? Because that's how God is. He likes to shake you up. He wants to know that if you know where you're going and something comes in to disrupt the flow of what you're doing, do you change course or do you figure out another route? And so we've been working on figuring out another route. So I'm sitting in here and my phone rings. I have a bill due and I'm like, I got all this stuff we got to do. We're going to have to start, getting in action for our attraction, right? Turning, getting on, selling my books and, selling some clothes, like, go out there and make it happen, right? So I get a phone call. And the phone call, that people call, they say, I was calling you. Check this out. Because it was Wingate University, right? I speak at different colleges and I had spoken at the college and then I had something else. The lady calls me from the college. She says, is Miss Precious Paul? And I say, yes, it is. She says, well, I was calling you because it seems that we're going through our books. And there was a check that was sent out to you for $200 that never got cashed. Did you receive that check? And I said, a check? Now, honey, when we work, honey, we looking for our check. And I'm thinking, I don't know what they're talking about. A check that did not know I didn't receive. She said, well, ma'am, it is on our book. So we are going to send you that check out. When you get it immediately, please cash it so we can clear this out. And I hang up the phone. And I knew that in that time, when I say that it is about you investing and then God shows up, he will put you in somebody's heart. He will put you on somebody's mind. He will bless you in the midst of you walking to where you're walking because it's already been paid for. And so when I had a need, oh my God, he had somebody call me who I did not know, who did not know me, that was going through some paperwork. And God said that I got a return on an investment she made some time ago. And so I want you to know that if you understand that becoming your magic is about showing up in the moments of today in order for God to multiply you in the world, because 1 times every number is that number. So if I am sitting here with 7 people right now, my impact has been multiplied 7 times. If I'm sitting there with 15 people, my impact has been multiplied 15 times. So God wants to know that when you go to represent me, and you go to be the evidence of what I can do, will do, and have been doing in your life, I want to know, what does that impact look like? Does it look like change? Does it look like a magic trick? Do you look like abracadabra? Because like I said, when somebody tries to throw in your face who you was yesterday, you better remind them of the God you serve. And you better say, you know what? I'm not going to go back and forth with you. I got one word for you. It's called abracadabra. Because when you are in action for your attraction, when you know that you are your own magic, then you can change right before somebody's eyes, because it was a thought. It was a thought of you not reacting the way you used to react yesterday. It was a thought of you not allowing what they called you to interfere with what God said about you. Because if your relationship is stronger to God than it is to the world, then who do you care about opinions? It got to be God. And so what they said about you ain't important. But the secret that God told you, that dream that you have in you, the thing that you're afraid to make happen, the thing that you're wishing, that God would create provisions. He said, you are the provision for my vision. Come on now. You are the provision for my vision. My yes was assigned to your birthright. The minute I sent you, it was with a yes. A yes for you to what? Show up in your magic, to become abracadabra, to create moments, to create situations that people got to look at you and say, well, what kind of God do you serve? That you could go from abuse and still stand up. That you can go from molestation and still be great. That you can go from abandonment and still see your beauty. That you can go from shame and turn it into power. That you can go from experience and turn it into impact. What is that special thing that cost you so much that you refuse to get a return on? What is the treasure that you paid top dollar for, that you're afraid to cash out on? It is your abracadabras. It is those moments that we stand in the shame instead of the gain. It is those moments that we forget that God had to use everybody from nothing and turn them into something in order for us to see what he can do. See, the reason why Yeshua was so powerful was because of the evidence of all the people who were touched by him. So I was touched and I was healed of the issue of blood. I was touched and I began to walk. I was touched and I began to change. And so what did Jesus touch you? How did he touch your situation? How did he come into those spiritual clots and thin them out through your experiences and through your relationships, right? How did you walk out that experience, those pains, those distractions? How did you turn them into who you are today? You turned them into that understanding that I paid the price. I own the right to stand in this room. The reason why I'm shining so bright is because I got out of my valley. The reason why I don't make apologies for where I'm at is because it costs me. And that just as I have to show up, you have to show up. And we need to start celebrating the magic that is us. Because when we celebrate the magic, then we're really celebrating God's grace. We're really celebrating his power. We're really being evidence of how he operates through us. We're really giving people the courage to be who God called them to be, right? And so what it looks like to celebrate yourself is what we are longing to do. We don't want to tell people what God has done for us because we are scared and ashamed of the story that's attached to it. It is because of that story that you look like abracadabra. It is because of your story that you are magic. And so when you eliminate the story, you eliminate the magic. You eliminate the power in the story. And so removing the shame and getting in your lane is removing the death, right? Removing the crucifixion, right? Jesus was crucified. He had to die to resurrect with all power and keys in his hand. And so when you remove the shame of the story, then you give birth to the power and God's glory. Because the power was in the getting up. The power was in the magic. The power is in who you became in spite of where you were, what you went through, what you experienced. The power is in what that little boy or girl did with that story. What they did with that experience, what they did with that emotional crutch, how they got their soul's posture in alignment for their assignment, right? Because to be in alignment for your assignment means to stand up in your light. Meaning, I don't care what you think you know about me. Let me tell you, guys know something better. I don't care what you think you heard about me. Let me remind you, abracadabra. Abracadabra. And if you ain't saying abracadabra, that means you ain't done nothing. And if you ain't different than yesterday and you still look the same, where's the magic at? Where's the proof? Where's God's evidence? And so every time we take for granted our valley moments, where we hide on a mountaintop, where we cry about where we've been and not where we're at. You heard me? Where we cry about where we've been and not where we're at. Do you know how disrespectful that is to what you've done in God's name? To cry about where you've been and not celebrate where you're at? It is a disservice, a dishonor to what God knew was required for you to be who he called you to be. He knew that you had to go that way. He knew you had to experience that. He knew that that would be a part of your story because he knew what he was birthing you for. It was for somebody else. So that somebody else could know that they were born. I was born 40 years ago for today. That's how intentional God is. You were born however many years ago you were born for today. Because God creates the ending before the beginning. And so you're just in the middle of the story, baby. And the story can go however you want it to go. The question is, how much do you trust in the breath that you have on today? How much do you trust in those valleys that led you to your mountaintop? How much do you trust that God can transform that situation in an instant, in a moment? Why? Because you're just that special. You're just that important to the bigger picture. That is why it's a relay race and somebody is relying on you. And that the things that you went through was not for you to shame or for it to be in vain. It was because God needed you to do something with it. He needed you to be the evidence of what you can be in spite of, but not through it all, right? Through it all, I got to walk in my story. Through it all, I got to give God the glory. Through it all, I got to remind somebody how often you can be great. That I can be a survivor of molestation. That I can have an amazing husband that loves me because I believe I deserve to be loved, even with that scar. Right? That I can survive through my childhood feeling like pain and suffering. All of those things that I experienced. That, honey, you got to go into that private Zoom for that conversation. That ain't even ready for internet. That's coming up. But for all of those different parts that, I would take up hours to explain what it took for me to arrive. The who's that killed me, but the what's that healed me. I know you got some who's in your life and you're hung up on the who's, but God said the biggest who of all is you. What I was going to get from that, right? Because there is a perfect God peace that is formed through the unperfect experience. Through those imperfect places, those imperfect things, there is a God peace that is formed, that is perfect, that is one of a kind, that cannot be duplicated. And it requires the imperfect moments that extracted the best spiritual understanding of empathy and sympathy and service. Because you went through what you went through to be of service. God said, give to receive. You had to give of your peace in order to receive his peace. You had to give of your pain in order to receive his pleasure. He had to turn that thing around. He said he picked me up. He turned me around. He placed my feet on solid ground. That means I had to trade in something for something. And so it's going to cost you everything you get in life, cost you something. But the things that you have already paid for, why let it go on without getting your return? If it cost you that pain, then walk in it. Get your abracadabra back. If it cost you that discourse in family, figure out why and get it back. If it cost you your peace of mind, go get it back. Because everything that cost you means it's already been paid for. So why are you repaying the debt that Jesus died for? He walked with 12 people that were so imperfect so that you can recognize that I don't care what your story looks like. It is because of that I need you to be an example. That I need you to let people see. That I need you to be who I called you to be. It is because of that. It is because of that. You know what I mean? And so we got to get out of that idea of wanting what we see, but not wanting to do what we saw, right? You know, you want what you see, but you don't want to be what you saw. Is that making sense to you? You want what you see. I mean, I want the grass my neighbor got, but I don't want to be what I saw. I saw him going out every day to water it. I saw him going out every day. I saw him doing this. I saw what he did to get that grass to look like that. And I'm envious of his grass, but I'm not willing to put in the work to get what he got. That's what God said, you know, jealous and enviness is not of God. Because you're wasting time on what he got, but you're not wasting the time on getting what you want. So if you're going to watch somebody, watch the whole story. Don't watch a piece, because watching the whole story will give you the instructions for your transformation. It will renew your mind. And so he gave us eyes to see. Let's use it. Let's take heed to the vision that he places before us. The blueprints. Those are the footprints in the sand, right? He said, I've sent someone before you because I sent you before somebody else. Like I said, I was created 40 years ago to be here today. You were created whatever amount of years, however old you are. That is how long ago God thought of you. Thought of you as a solution. And so I want you to sit down and think about, what have you been through that makes you the solution? That makes you your abracadabra? What are those moments that you can remember that were changed because you were in action for your attraction? Those are the moments that remind you of your abracadabra. Those are the moments that remind you that you were born enough. Those are the moments that will remind you that nobody can do what you can do. They're the moments that will remind you that God is not done with you yet. That you have so much power, that you can go on because of the strength that you can be reminded of. You are so amazing. You are so special. You are so one of a kind. And until you know that, it is a waste of your experiences. It is a waste of your relationships. It is a waste of the energy you're carrying, because there is a type of energy that flows with knowing. There is a type of energy that flows with the I am. And so God said, I am that I am. So let's not concentrate on the inks. Let's concentrate on the inks that became I ams. That is why you stand today. Why you trust yourself more. Why you go harder for you. Why you will never stop. Because you understand that that seed of thought that you nurture will one day become the proof of just how magical you were created. You are something magical. And when you know it, oh my God, what a difference the world would be. You are a light. And in order for us to disrupt the darkness that is hovering in this season, it is for everybody who can and will ignite. Because when light shows up in darkness, darkness cannot coexist with light. And so if there are too many dark places, it's because enough of the lit people haven't showed up in their story. They haven't showed up in God's glory. And they haven't showed up in their abracadabra. What is that? It is you. You are your abracadabra. You hear me? Get in action for your attraction. You hear me? So look at that. That's been 40 minutes. I have talked to you for 40 whole minutes already. And so as you know, that we always, at this time, if you have any questions, this is your time to ask me anything you want to ask me if you have anything to ask, right? I hope that you are receiving what I'm giving because I mean it from the very epicenter of my heart, of my soul, of my assignment. Because I know that in order to be who I am today was because I showed up and who I know God whispered in my ear about me. I know what he said about me because I trust our relationship and I trust the secrets that he said. And I'm willing to walk in that. I'm willing to walk in it so much that I'll talk about it before I get there because I know that he said that there will not be a word that he will send back void. And so I think it enough to believe it in order to speak it, in order to receive it, right? I think it enough to believe it in order to speak it, in order to receive it. Those are that order. That is the order that you actually send out what you want. There ain't a devil in hell that can stop God from showing up for you. And there ain't a devil in hell that can stop you from showing up for yourself. Because the power lies within your thoughts. So when you are guarding that, anything that somebody said about you that is not an I am, a positive affirmation, you are to guard and you must release it. Put something positive in. If you don't have a positive thing to tell yourself every day, well, guess what? Go to PreciousPaulin.com, get the ABCs of how special I am, and there is 52 affirmations that will take you through 52 days of reminding yourself of an I am that you represent. And then I want you to live in that I am so that you can become who only you can be, which is powerful beyond measures. And so at this time, we're going to shuffle up these cards and find out what today is day 4, honey. We are day 4 in. I'm so glad that God gave me the idea to start this show. Hashtag Become Your Magic. If you have some abracadabra moments and stories that you would like to share, please message me. I got somebody coming on tomorrow, but what I am doing is at the 7:30 mark on the day that we have guests that are going to come in and explain to us, give their testimonies on how they became and who they are. We're going to celebrate one another here because we spend enough time pulling each other down. This ain't the place for that. This is the place to celebrate you. This is the place to say, I don't care what they said about you. They are liars. Because I've come to tell you what God said about you. And what he said about you is that you are your magic. What he said about you is that the answer is yes. What he said about you is that greater things you would do than was done before. And so if Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead and he healed people, what are you doing? You're healing a woman with the issue of blood? Because she's been bleeding on the inside because of her story. And she's been waiting for you to come and tell her what you've been through so she can say me too, so that she can release herself and she can stop suffering in silence. And she can heal, or he can heal from the inside out. And so when you share your testimony, guess what you do? You heal the woman with an issue of blood, because we are bleeding on the inside as we suffer in silence through the traumas that has gotten us believing that we are unworthy of greatness, that we are unworthy of divine intervention, that we are not divine intervention. We are our own divine intervention. Why? Because God gave us a piece. We are a God piece. We are divine, and we are our intervention. So we are the divine intervention that we're looking for. He put it in you. He put it in me. He put it in us. Come on now. He put it in you. He put it in me. He put it in us. We are our own divine intervention. When light shows up, darkness disappears. Come on now. I am my abracadabra, period. Period. You touch upon so much. Oh, thank you, boo. Thank you, Vivian. You know I love you, Vivian. You are so precious. Precious, keep shining. I love you. Thank you, my love. I don't know who that is because it's a Facebook user. So I don't know if you're not in. So please tell me who you were. I want to receive that from your heart to my heart. We got Beverly here saying, what do you say, Beverly? Think, believe, speak. Period, poo. So now, without further ado, we are going to pull a card for the day. So I'm going to pull this down so we can see. So you can see that this is so random. And so whatever God gives us is what he wants us to know about ourselves today. So right now, in the energy of what we've been speaking of, becoming your magic and your power, right? Receiving everything, right? Finding out your abracadabra, we pull a card. Oh my God. Look at the card he has for you. The card, our I am, that I leave you with on today is the I am genuine. Oh my God. Do you know what it means to be genuine? It means to be authentic, to be one of a kind, to basically be transparent, like see through, right? And so every time we understand that that shame that's attached to our story is really the game that gives God the glory because it represents the magic in what he did through your abracadabra. Come on, I hope you went with me. I didn't even go with myself because I said, as God whispers, I speak it. So I love to go back every day and I look at these because I'm telling you, I'm going through the process as you. We are all just tools being used by God when we're willing to open ourselves up to him so he could pour into us unlimited supply of knowledge, information, and love so that we can what? Help each other because we all are a part of his body. And when I cut you, I cut God. Did you hear me? When I'm not genuine in who I am, then I'm distracted by who you are. And when I cut you because of who I am not, I cut God. Because God sent you and he sent me to connect so that we can be great, so that we can form the picture of love, of life, of genuine spiritual connections, genuine soul prints, genuine relationships, a genuine ability to love through your perspective, love through your heart, love through your contentment. You are genuinely a part of God. You are genuinely a masterpiece. You are genuinely called for who you were designed to be. Many are called, but few are chosen. You know who are chosen? The people who choose themselves. The people that see who God called them to be. The people who decide to show up in their story. The people who decide to turn that pain into power. The people who decide to resurrect with all power in their hand. You are not what you've been through. You are what you grow through. You are what you become. You are a genuine piece of God in which the world is lucky to have, that God is not done with yet. And the reason I know, because you have breath in your body. He woke you up today because he has more for you to do. And the more starts when you begin to recognize just how special you are. You are. I am. So I want you to say this right now. I am genuine. I am genuine. When you look in the mirror tonight, as you brush your teeth, I want you to sit there and think about the ways that make you genuine on tonight. All the way up until we meet again tomorrow when we get a new word. Because I want you to implant seeds of I am confirmation so that you can show up in your transformation. I want you to plant seeds of I am confirmations so that you can show up in your transformations. It's up to you. It's up to you. God has released it to you. He has also said yes. Just walk in your favor by finding the strength within in order to what? To show up in your magic. To show up in your magic. 50 minutes in, this card is going in. The other few days, in case this is your first day on, remember our first day was I am intuitive. Then we had I am amazing. Then we had I am the promise. A game you could play with your kids, with your family, all of that good stuff. And last but not least, I am genuine. So today we are celebrating the authenticity that makes us who we are. And so don't complain about your lips, your nose, your eyes, your arms, your legs. Today you celebrate just how beautiful and how genuine every piece of you are. Look in that mirror and find ways to compliment the beauty that is you. That is your homework assignment today, right? And so, without further ado, we are going to go toward the ending. Let me see if we got anything. Queen from New York. Hey, Queen, baby. You doing some great things. You need to come on and let us know how you became your magic. You got an abracadabra story about you getting in action. And that's what is all about. Beverly said, I am genuine. I love that. Nicole says, I am genuine. Please, you are genuine. Thank you, my love. I want you guys, if you're on, write in, I am genuine. Remember, we speak it into existence. We say it and we believe it. And then what is the word I'm looking for? It manifests, right? We say it because we believe it. See, the thing is, the reason why we don't say a lot of stuff is because we might not really believe in what we're saying. But when you say it with a belief in it, oh my God, it creates an energy that will not come back to you void. It is a confidence in what you say. You walk in that room and say, bring me that thing. You got people running to get stuff and they don't even know who you are because of the power and the authority that you had in that, right? But if you go in there and say, you could be the most powerful person in the world, and you say, can you bring me that? And you whisper, nobody hears you, nobody's listening, and you got to say, well, I own such and such, and then everybody turns. And why they're turning? They're turning because of who they heard you are, not about who you showed up as, right? So we're bigger than our roles and titles. We are energy. We are a force. Becoming your magic is a supernatural force. So because we are supernatural forces, what does that mean? That means I got to walk in like that. You think force creeps in the room? No. Force opens up the door. When the wind is blowing, the doors swing open. They looking around like, who coming? That's what force look like. You can have a forceful energy that yet has this sense of genuineness, love, and yet power. Because that's what God is. He is a force to be reckoned with, but he is an unconditional love. So to marry those two is to be, in essence, who you were created to be. It is to be the peace that only you can. I am genuine, a masterpiece, fearfully made. Come on now. Nicole, you too. You know I need your testimony. You know I need your abracadabra, baby. Come on now, Vivian. I am genuine, real, resilient, and powerful. Absolutely. You are a resilient queen. I like to have you on too, because who you are today is an abracadabra. You know it. Don't nobody know y'all stories like y'all know y'all stories. That's why when I'm in here saying abracadabra, I hope y'all in there like abracadabra, screaming. Honey, the other day my girlfriend called me, shout out to Kat, and when I answered the phone, she said abracadabra, and I cracked up. Because that's what I want to hear. I want to hear you walking in your greatness. That's what I want to hear. And so we all know that we end with our song. And so I'm about to play the song. Like I said, I want you to learn these words. I want you to know these words because these words all become that abracadabra. If you start to say these words to yourself, guess what? Hunty, you will believe what God said about you because words are power. And what you hear and what you put in your mind, what you do is how you show up. And so how we show up in our words is so important. Now, before I start this song, this is the part in which, you know what I'm saying? This is the part of our moments where we say hello. It is giving time. It is given time. And so in this moment, just as I said, it is given to receive. If you have received anything powerful in this hour and you want to sow a seed, please, you are welcome. My favorite number is 7. If you want to sow a $7 cash app to me, I will be so grateful for the seed because it will be multiplied. If you want to purchase an item in which all goes into my garden to feed my many kids that eat off the tree, right? But anyway, all seeds are blessed. It is multiplied. And so I show up in my gift to give what I have. And if you have $1, $5, whatever, anything little, anything big, God will multiply. And so you can PayPal me at preciouspwords@aol.com. You can cash at me at $PWords. And you can put in the notation abracadabra, because that is what I would love for God to multiply. If you are in need of some tools that will help you ignite your abracadabra, please go to PreciousPauline.com. There is calendars. I have children's book. I have 365 days of loving yourself to life. I have a calendar. These are all tools that will give you what you need in order to ignite your magic, right? To find those abracadabra. We got Precious Thoughts from the Soul, a book of powerful, inspirational, prophetic poetry written only by myself. We have these children's book. If you have kids in your life, these kids are at home right now. This book right here is a game changer. How special are you? Well, you're one of a kind. Will change. You hear me? Change the way they show up. These are only $15. A $15 investment will change a child's life. We have them in girls and boys version. So I have plenty of ways that you can sow a seed, because it is given to receiving. So if I have given to you at any magnitude and you want to return anything to me, and if you don't have anything that is financial, that is fine. You sending how you've been touched is a seed that ignites, right? Because as we think about fire, what keeps the fire going? You got to feed the fire. So you can feed financially, you could feed emotionally, you could feed spiritually. You can pray for me tonight. You want to feed my fire? Send a prayer for my energy to be able to keep on growing, keep on being touched, keep on showing up Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. to give whatever God has given me, so that we can show up as who we were called to be, right? So that we can be intentional about who God is and what he's doing in our life. So I Choose Me Bling Boutique will allow you to find some of these beautiful items right here. Any way you want to bless yourself, please. It is the gift that will keep on giving, because when you feed me, you feed a whole lineage, a whole legacy, a whole mission, movement, and most importantly, assignment. And so I'm pleased to be on assignment, and I'm grateful that God has put you in my presence, in my space, and in my life, because every time I show up, he's given me credit, unspeakable credit. And I'm telling you that if you show up for the people in your life, you too will begin to reap unspeakable credit, unspeakable promises that will fall in your lap, because God loves nothing more than a cheerful giver and a full-time servant. So you serve to be served. Love, love, love you. And let's get our song so we can sing. As I said before, if any of you guys are listening to this song and you would like the words, I will send it to you. Message me and let me know you want to know that song. And I promise you, I got you. Oh, kisses from Miss Janice. I love you, Janice. So here we go. Here we go. If I could find it quick enough, right? So did you have a good hour? Did I waste your time, or did I give you something juicy? Did God give you something juicy today? Because, honey, he be using me. Using me. I can't even complain. He be using me so good. Have you ever found out just where you could be? Ever took the time to discover what lies inside thee, all the treasures you were born with? Come on now. The world needs to see. I love you, Nicole. To dare to just be. I choose me. No more excuses. I choose me. Come on now. I'm enough. I choose me. You're more than worthy. I own my stuff. No more excuses. I'm enough. Thank you, baby. More than worthy. Come on now. More than you can stand. Ever took the time to walk in uncharted land. Because you knew what you offered was one of a kind. Bring your gift, then what would we find? I choose me. No more excuses. I'm enough. More than worthy. You own your stuff. Would only bring joy. Only to discover that the pain brings you more. More of those questions answered. To what makes me great? When I learn to digest the good and bad on my plate. Come on now. Have you digested the good and bad on your plate, baby? I'm enough. I own my stuff. The secret is that through all these things, after pain comes triumph. This our anthem, y'all. You realize the lessons were blessings on the journey to you, because your purpose was found in the things you went through. I choose me. Come on now. Come on now. These are the words. So if you want the words, I will email this to you. Come on now. And you can go along with us. See that? And it's the shape of your mold when you reach your purpose. A message of inspiration. Look at that. Come on now. Get some pep in your step. And all that you do in order to give it out, it must first be in you. Come on now. Your dreams will be fulfilled when you choose to walk in your light. And the love that's inside will be the fuel for your flight. I choose me. No more excuses. I choose me. I'm enough. I choose me. More than worthy. I choose me. I own my stuff. And that is what Becoming Your Magic is all about. It is about owning your stuff. And so I am so grateful that you have spent this power hour, this Become Your Magic type of experience. I long to see you guys tomorrow at 7 p.m. I hope you share. I hope you tell a friend. I hope you ignite somebody today. And I hope you remember to be your I am in being genuine, that you become the love you always saw, that you become that genuine peace that you are proud of, the peace that you want to celebrate, the peace that you want to love, the peace that you want to show up in, right? And so you are your masterpiece. You are that thing. So remember, you can never turn on anybody else's light, but you can provide enough light for them to find their switch. So stay lit in this world so somebody can find their way out of the darkness. We are expecting you to become your magic by finding all the many abracadabra moments that prove just how good God is and just how right He was about sending you. You are on assignment, so just get in alignment. Love, love, love you guys. Remember to take care of your souls, because it's about time for us to turn our heartbeat into a soul beat in order to leave a soul print, because the fingerprint tells us what we got wrong in this world, but the soul print, it tells us what we got right. And it's time for us to leave the right pieces from the imperfect experiences in this world. And that is how God shows up. I love you guys. See you guys tomorrow. And remember to take good care of those amazing, precious souls. I choose me. # no more excuses, because you were born enough. I love you. Yes, Vivian, I will email it to you. Beautiful song. Thank you. I was so excited when I wrote it. That was my first song I wrote. Who knew, right? God said, if I give you a gift and you sit in it, I'll multiply it. I love you. Walk in your light. Yes, Nicole. And you walk in yours. See you guys tomorrow. Good night.